Focus goes, energy flows.
Oh, that's what my shirt says too as well.
My man, you're going to fit in.
I love that. And I love when you have the notebook open, ready to go.
Ready to
Michael
go.
Robinson and his notebook, everybody. Let's hit the lead block.
Lead block.
Okay, we have reporters to get to right now. Randy Moss is in Kansas City, and James Palmer is coming to us from Tampa. Randy, welcome. Let's talk about these Chiefs. They hit the practice field yesterday. What is the latest out there to know this morning?
Yeah, obviously because of the pandemic, it's almost as if it's a regular road game for the Chiefs. They had a 90-minute practice yesterday. Good news is that Sammy Watkins and Le'Veon Bell were out there on a limited basis. Obviously, they'll be back out there again today as Patrick Mahomes and company tried to add their names to the list of illustrious back-to-back Super Bowl winners.
Yeah, I think the thing I'm most proud of is that no one has become satisfied. No one's become happy with winning one Super Bowl championship. I mean, everybody's trying to make themselves better every single day and not trying to take a day for granted. And you don't have that in every single organization and every single locker room. And I think that just comes with the culture that Brett Veach and Coach Reed have kind of instilled in us, and that's to get better at least 1% every single day. And that's why I think we're in this game, and we have a chance for another Super Bowl championship.
He says all the right things, doesn't he? And his teammate Le'Veon Bell says that if you think Mahomes is good in games, you ought to see him in practice. Now let's go to Tampa and James.
Well, thank you, Randy. It's well documented that Patrick Mahomes goes back decades looking at film of past quarterbacks. And if you go back decades, well, Tom Brady's still playing, and he loves to watch the way Brady plays. And he says he really admires the way Brady dissects defenses. He wants to get to that level. Another aspect of Brady's game that Mahomes loves is the way he's able to move and avoid the rush within the pocket. We know Mahomes does so many great things outside the pocket, but he loves what Brady does inside to avoid the rush. And that really bothers guys like Frank Clark, a little shoulder move, the way he can just avoid without expending a lot of energy. And Kay, that's a big thing in this game. Everybody talks about how it's a marathon, how long it is, and that's always been the advantage that people believe with Brady is that he doesn't expend a ton of energy. He's able to play in this manner to where in the fourth quarter, even at 43, he still has a lot in the tank to where he's able to go out there and have those closing drives.
Well said, James Palmer with the Bucks. And is that a Zoom background, James? Is that a pool behind you? What is going on?
Yeah. We have a pool. We got cabanas, Kay. I mean, I might be wearing board shorts right now. We don't even know.
I'm sure Randy Moss, freezing in Kansas City, is happy to hear about that. Thank you so much, James. And to Randy, talk to you both in a little bit. It's an interesting discussion, Schrags. It's what's the tougher feat, right? Running it back. Although you did bring everybody back from your last Super Bowl squad. To the point that you made a lot throughout the year. A lot of full screens, about 20 out of 21 guys or 22 out of 22 guys coming back. Or winning a Super Bowl in the first year with a new team like the Bucks. And
I think this year's different than any other year, Kay. So I would say the latter. I think because of what the country's going through and because what the NFL went through with the pandemic, for Tom Brady to join a team in March, not be able to be in person with them until really August, and then to learn a new offense with new verbiage and have to get to know every single person in that building, to then take that team from one of the most mediocre franchises in all of sports, a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in 10 years.
Mediocre's kind.
Mediocre's kind for what they were. To the Super Bowl, it's unheard of. Forget even the age part. If this was any quarterback going to Tampa Bay and doing it, it would have been amazing. And what I almost find more impressive is that it didn't just start and click right away. Like, they had to find themselves. Early in the season, the Bucs were not exactly humming. I mean, this is against the Bears in that Thursday night game on NFL Network, where Khalil Mack is literally throwing Tristan Wirfs over his shoulder.
Rookie.
And this is what Brady was dealing with. Remember, Brady was frustrated. He was yelling. This was a Sunday night game that is just, it's inexplicable now. The Saints came into their building and absolutely waxed the Buccaneers. This all happened this very season. This wasn't like it happened 3 years ago, and look how far they've come. They lose to the Chiefs, they go on the bye week, and they haven't lost since. I find that this team's ability to just find itself in a COVID year, in the pandemic, and do it in the first year of Brady under center, and along the way, beating Rodgers in his building, beating Breeze in his building, and beating all of the other great quarterbacks to be the team representing the NFC. I find what Brady and the Bucs have done this year unprecedented. Never been done before.
Peter, I couldn't have said it better myself, man. I totally agree with you. What Brady and the Bucs have done this season has been tremendous. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it. And like you said, forget the age. For any quarterback to be able to do this, and I think it's indicative of what Tom Brady brings to a team, right? He changes the culture. You saw earlier in the season how bad this team was. I thought that they would get to the Super Bowl in the second year of Tom Brady's contract, not the first year.
That's the plan.
And then you talk about the pandemic and not being able to be around his guys. You know how Tom Brady wants the chemistry with his guys. And I thought the interesting part was the philosophy of offense, right? Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich, they like to push the ball downfield. Brady can do that, but traditionally over the last 5 years, he's been a matchup guy. He's been an intermediate guy. And for him to kind of, going to the season with that philosophy, kind of change in the middle, change his coach's philosophy at the same time, and now having this team feeling itself right now. I mean, they're confident, guys. And I think if Tom Brady wins this Super Bowl, if he wins this Super Bowl, this is his best Super Bowl. And I don't think he comes back. You can't get better than this. You can't.
You think he'll be done?
He'll be done, man. Come on, man. Can you write a better script? Walk off in the sunset in Florida, okay? You're hosting your own Super Bowl in a pandemic year, and you don't have Bill Belichick as your head coach. Come on, man. I think if Tom Brady wins it, it's a wrap.
Wow. I mean, I think he wants to play till he's 60, dude. I think he was like, I want to catch Bill Russell. I want to have 10 rings.
I'm sure he's tired. I'm sure it's sore to get out of the bed sometimes.
I'm sure it is. Believe me, Mike. We know. It's really hard to win one with your first year in a new team. Although, I don't know if you guys have been reading and listening, but apparently Matt Stafford's going to do it next year with the Rams. So, like, how hard could it be? That's what everyone's already counting that ring. I think it's back-to-back. I think it's the back-to-back titles because imagine, Peter, you're talking about how great what Brady's doing is this year. What if he does it next year, too?
I know.
I mean, that's the one. And it's hard just to get to the Super Bowl. Never mind even get back. All-time greats. How many times have we seen a team win the whole thing and be like, wow, they're loaded. They're a juggernaut. They're going to win this thing for years. Let me give you some examples of when we thought that was true. And these teams did not get back. Roethlisberger, that's the last one he won. That was years ago. Did not get back since, not ever, let alone back-to-back. Next. All of these guys, you think they're completely set up to do it. Drew Brees hasn't been back since. There's Peyton in the background. Young, talented, offensive next. Who else has not been back?
A bunch of records, though.
Of course. Rodgers still hasn't been back. We're talking about going to 2 in a row. Next. Mike, I think you know this guy. 2 in a row. This guy's not been back since. He's the closest to come to do it. He was about to do it, and then he tried to just throw to Ricardo Lockett. There's the point. Even Tom Brady, who can do anything, who is in the Super Bowl every single year, has not gone back-to-back in 17 years. That's how hard it is. It's unbelievably difficult every single step of the way. If Brady does it next year and goes back-to-back, then we could talk retirement.
You know what? I would have said back-to-back this year would have been easier. I agree with you. I think that going back-to-back is very difficult, man. You have the target on your back the entire season. But because of COVID, the chemistry, the continuity that Kansas City has.
But the Chiefs also lost their starting running back to opt out. They lost one of their best linemen to opt out. So they took hits too because of COVID. You know what I mean? For sure.
Super Bowl winning teams usually lose a ton of players. Schrager, you chime in here because you were so adamant about how rare this is, that this is the squad that brought back pretty much everybody.
Yeah, it's actually amazing. Remember, we were saying all year, 21 of 22 starters are coming back. And that was everyone but like Dustin Colquitt.
But you were saying that before opt-outs. That a lot changed after
they lost Duvernay Tardif. They lost Damian Williams. That's fair. They lost injuries. I think even more perplexing is that no coach was hired off the coaching staff. No front office person. And the league should have picked that team apart like a carcass. DeMarcus Robinson should have been signed, and Rashad Breeland.
The entire coaching staff came back.
They all came
back.
And all the players came back. And guess what?
That's what I think.
They might be better this year than they were last year. They lost last year a few games.
And it's not taking away from the Chiefs. It's a testament to how amazing that front office is and how they built it to make it there and ready to be run back. And we'll see if it
none of those coaches went anywhere?
None. The Bucs coaches aren't going anywhere.
Half-line offensive coordinator ain't gone
no.
I wonder why.
My problem, we'll get to that. Hey, Tom Pelissero.
Do that next segment.
Where focus goes, energy flows to Tom Pelissero this morning with us on GMFB. Thanks for waking up bright and early. Commissioner Goodell is going to address the media and some reporters today. What are the big issues that you think that he'll be talking about as we face 2021 season?
Okay, certainly Roger Goodell and DeMaurice Smith, the NFLPA executive director, both will be talking about what has to be considered a great success of 2020. But the sides are already looking towards some of the big questions for 2021. Let's start with the salary cap. Negotiations between the NFL and the union began last month, and the number might end up being a little bit higher than people were expecting. There is some belief and certainly hope among team executives. Cap could end up closer to $185 million per club. even a little bit higher than that, rather than the $175 million floor the sides agreed to last summer as they braced for the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Probably the biggest unknown in projecting revenue for 2021, will stadiums be full come September? That's going to depend in large part on the rate of vaccinations around the country, which the NFL is promoting by inviting 7,500 vaccinated healthcare workers here to Super Bowl 55. In terms of vaccinations of players, that's not something the NFL can mandate because it is a change in working conditions. They'll be subject to bargaining with the union. The hope on both sides is education will encourage a lot of players to get those vaccinations on their own. All that is the backdrop for another unique free agency and another unique draft, which remains